Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian D'Amico, and I'm the Manager of Educational Services here at VectorVest. It's my pleasure to present your Strategy of the Week today for Friday, May 17th, 2013, titled Automating an Industrious Way to Make Money. Back on February 22nd of this year, Kevin Crowe gave a great presentation titled An Industrious Way to Make Money. He taught us how to find rising stocks in rising industry groups. Tonight, we'll take that technique and see how the UniSearch can make it faster and easier. This week we'll cover three main things. First, I'll review the technique that Kevin showed us back in February. Then, we'll head over to the UniSearch tool and I'll show you how you can build a search to find those rising stocks in rising industries. Lastly, I'll demonstrate a powerful yet widely overlooked feature in UniSearch. So let's get started. Kevin taught us a technique that was all about putting probability on your side. If you buy rising stocks that are in rising industry groups, when the market is rising, the probability of entering a winning trade is much higher. Kevin demonstrated the criteria to use for each of these. First of all, to qualify as a rising stock, there were 5 things to look for. The stock needed a buy recommendation, the RV, RS, and RT all needed to be above 1, the price needed to be above $20, and the volume and average volume needed to be above 30,000. To qualify as a rising industry group, Kevin looked at the top RT industries in the industry viewer. To determine the market was rising, we used the tried and true confirmed up call. Well, let's head into VectorVest and take a look at what he did. From the home page of VectorVest, we're going to click on the Viewers tab up at the top. On the left-hand side, let's click on Industry Viewer. Once I do that, all of the industry groups that we track in VectorVest are immediately sorted by RT, or relative timing. RT looks at the short-term price trend, which is the main thing you want to look at when analyzing industry groups. The industries with the best price trend are at the top of the list. Let's come up to the top here and let's change this date back to our confirmed up call that we just had back in January. So I'll change the date, go back to January, and choose the 10th. When I choose the 10th and click OK, here are the top industries as they would have appeared on that day. Now we want to find the stocks that meet our criteria that are in these hot industries. To do that, simply double-click on the row for the industry. For example, I'll double-click on Internet Service Provider. When I do that, you can see there are 2 stocks in that industry. And neither of the 2 stocks are over $20, so they don't meet our criteria. So let's close this, and we'll just go on to the next industry. Transportation Airlines, and I'll double-click. Here we can see we have WestJet Airlines at the top, and it meets all of our criteria. It's over $20. RV, RS, and RT are all over 1. It's got a buy recommendation, and if I scroll to the right, you can see that it meets the volume criteria. So I'll come back over to the side. You can see that we also have 2 others, WJA.A, another WestJet Airlines, and then EIF are both over $20 a share. However, EIF does not have a relative safety rating over 1, so that does not meet the criteria. And if we look at WJA.A and scroll to the right, you can see it just does not meet the volume criteria. So in this industry, we only have 1 stock, WJA, that meets the criteria. Alright, so I'll close this window. And what Kevin taught us is you would just simply go through the top industries in this list, doing the same thing, looking for stocks that met our criteria. Wouldn't it be great if there was a way that we could automate some of this? Well, there is, and that tool is called the UniSearch tool. To get there, I'll just come up to the top and click on the UniSearch tab. UniSearch is a very powerful search tool. Now, even though it's powerful, that doesn't mean it's difficult to use. I want you to watch how easily you can duplicate the technique that we just looked at. First of all, we wanted to find stocks that had a buy recommendation. So you simply come down to the parameter box, you click in there, and you select stocks because you're looking for stocks. And you're going to move over capital appreciation, and choose recommendation. You come over to the operator, you want it to be equal to, and then in the value box, you want to buy recommendation, and click OK. Next, I wanted to make sure that RV, RS, and RT were all above 1. Well, since any stock that has a buy recommendation also has an RT above 1 as part of our rules for a buy recommendation, I only need to enter the RV and the RS criteria in this search. To do that, I'll come back to Parameter, go to Stocks, Capital Appreciation, RV, Operator is going to be greater than, and the value, it's going to be a custom value, and I just have to type in the number 1. And I'll just do the same thing for relative safety. Do a greater than, and choose 1. Next, I want to make sure I put in my price and volume criteria. So we know that we want to look for price over $20, so I'm going to choose here and go to Stocks, go to Price. We're going to look for the actual price because we want to make sure the stock was actually trading at this price on that day. I'm going to go to Operator, choose greater than, and value, once again custom value, and type in 20. So now we come back over here, go to Stocks, once again do price volume, and we want the volume for the day to be greater than 30,000, and then we also want the average volume to be over 30,000 as well. So we'll just enter those in here. Now I want you to pay close attention to this next part. We now want to make sure we're only looking at stocks that are in the top RT industries. So we're going to enter just one line in this search to make sure that we're only going to be looking at the stocks that are in the top RT industries. To do that, all you have to do is come back over to Parameter, go to Stocks, and we're going to filter this search by an industry group. So I'll click on Industry Group, and those industry groups are equal to, and if I click in the value box, I've now got 3 selections. I'm going to choose Sorted, and we've made it very simple for you. We put the most popular choices as some presets. So we're going to choose the top 10 industries by RT. So this means this search will only return stocks that are in the top 10 industries from the industry viewer. So the hottest industries. So I'll click on that. So now that I've got my search built, let's change the date back to our confirmed up call back in January. And then we'll just run the search. So I'll hit Run Search. There we go. And you should see a very familiar stock right here, WJA. That was one of the stocks that we found when we were doing it manually. And just so we can see a little bit more of the screen, I'm going to use a feature up here called Detach. So that way it detaches the UniSearch tab, and now it's taking up more of the screen for us. Well, let's see how we did. Let's come up here, and we're going to quick test these stocks. Let's do all of them. And there's only 10 in the list, so we're just going to do the top 10. There we go. And we need to change our end date, and we're going to move this back. So here we can see January 10th was the confirmed up call. So we're going to look for the next red one. There's the red confirmed down. So click OK. So the confirmed down was April 2nd, and let's just run the test. There we go. So it was at 3 months, and we made 12% over 3 months. And one of the things I really like to see is that we had 9 out of 10 winners. Man, we're putting probability on our side by doing this. Well, let me show you one more thing. So let's close this. When Kevin did the strategy the week back in February, he also showed you how to check some of the financial data of some of these top stocks in the top industries. He did that by having you go out to Yahoo Finance or maybe Financial Times. Let me show you a widely overlooked feature in UniSearch. It's one of my favorite parts of UniSearch. It just doesn't get the attention that it deserves. Now this feature may save you a ton of time. You want to favor companies that are making money, right? In addition, you really like it when companies are making more money than they did last quarter, right? Well, watch what you can do to easily get that information. VectorVest calculates a leading 12-month forecasted earnings per share. We combine recent earnings with historical earnings, along with forecasts, to get our forecasted earnings per share, which we feel is like a flashlight into the future. We feel it's much better than the standard EPS that you'll just see out there on places like Yahoo Finance. Watch what you can do here. You can come right into the UniSearch, go to the parameter, go to Stocks, Capital Appreciation, and choose Earnings per Share. When you do that, come to the operator, and this delta feature down here, this is one of my favorite parts of UniSearch. You click on that. Now, if you think back to when you were in high school, remember what delta was? Rate of change, percentage change. So all delta is going to do is calculate a percentage change from one date to another date. So I'm going to come over to value, and in this value box, I want to specify 1 quarter. Well, to do that, I'm going to choose weeks and just go to 13, because that's 1 quarter. And I'm going to leave it as display only. So I'm going to display the percentage change, and you'll see that here when I click on Run Search. So you can see there's a new column in here that says 13-week EPS delta. So this is showing you how much our forecasted earnings per share has changed from 13 weeks ago. Well, how can you use this information? Perhaps you only want to favor these companies here that have an earnings per share in the double digits. Well, let's see how that would have changed things. Let me just click on each one of these that have double-digit increases in their earnings. And I'm just going to come up to the top and do a quick test on those, just the selected ones. Oh, there we go. We increased our average gain. We're up over 13% now. And we had 5 out of 5 winners. Again, we're just putting more and more probability on our side. Well, let me close this. Now, if you know what earnings per share you're looking for, instead of just displaying it, you can come in here, change it from display only, and say you want it to be greater than, maybe you want it to be greater than just 10%. You can specify the 10 there, run the search, and notice you're left with just the stocks that had an over 10% increase in their earnings. So you can see how in just a few minutes, you can build a search in UniSearch that automates a manual process. And now you've got this search that you can use any day you want in the future. Tonight we looked at a few things. We looked at how to find rising stocks in rising industry groups in a rising market by using our powerful UniSearch tool. I'd like to thank you all for watching tonight, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And I look forward to having you back next week at the VectorVest University. Good night, everyone.